Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Rumours swirled after a nightmare weekend for Pecco Bagnaia at Phillip Island. Talk of tension, confusion, and cracks between Ducati and their three-time world champion. But team manager Davide Tardozzi has shut it all down. Speaking after the Australian Grand Prix, he was clear. There's no rift with Pecco. Our only focus is helping him. The shockwaves from Phillip Island continue to rattle Ducati. As Aprilia celebrates a double victory in Australia, the Italian factory faces internal unease, with Pecco Bagnaia's alarming loss of form and Marc Márquez's growing leverage shaping the future of MotoGP's most powerful manufacturer. Marquez's absence through injury only amplified Ducati's dependency on him, a realization that has dramatically strengthened his hand in contract talks beyond 2026. The frustration has reached breaking point for Pecco Bagnaia. After crashing out of the Australian Grand Prix and leaving Phillip Island empty-handed, and dropped one of the most revealing comments of the season. "That was my Ducati in Japan. The one I'm riding this year isn't." With Marc Márquez sidelined and Ducati's dominance slipping, Bagnaia's remarks paint a portrait of confusion and discontent inside the Bologna garage. What he didn't say on television now says more than enough. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Just weeks ago, Bagnaia looked reborn after his dominant victory in Japan, a statement when that suggested his confidence crisis was finally over. But since then, the Ducati star's form has collapsed again. At Phillip Island, the number 63 never looked comfortable on his Desmas set-aside GP25, wrestling with fierce crosswinds and setup issues that robbed him of rhythm. In Saturday's sprint, Bagnaia finished second to last, even behind Samkiat Chantra and only ahead of test rider Michel Pirot, standing in for Marc Márquez. 32 seconds off Marco Bezzecchi's winning pace in just 13 laps, a gap that shocked the paddock. Sunday brought little redemption. After struggling through warm-up, Bagnaia started aggressively but couldn't sustain his pace. Running 11th behind Fabio Quartararo, he eventually lost the front and crashed out, ending what Tardozzi later called a weekend to forget. It was another 0 on the score sheet, his third DNF in 4 races after double retirements in Indonesia. The once bulletproof champion now finds himself slipping behind rivals like Marco Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin, both riding with growing momentum. With Ducati's confidence shaken, speculation grew that cracks had formed between Bagnaia and the team, whispers of disagreement over setup direction and mental pressure. But Davide Tardozzi, ever the loyal lieutenant, dismissed the noise. "There's no rift with Pecco. I finished talking to him 10 minutes ago, in a constructive way, about what to do at Sepang." Tardozzi emphasized unity and calm within the factory box, revealing that Ducati's technical leadership, Gigi Dall'Igna and chassis chief Riccardo Savon, are already working on adjustments for Malaysia. "We have some ideas that Gigi and Riccardo will examine. I always have a lot of faith in our technicians, and in Pecco," he added. Ducati's response was not defensive but protective. Tardozzi made it clear that Bagnaia remains the team's priority and that his struggles are being addressed internally, without blame or division. "Our only concern is helping Pecco. We know the competition is fierce. Aprilia and the other manufacturers have grown, but our thoughts are with Pecco. There are no disagreements between us." Aprilia's recent surge, with Bezzecchi and Fernandez scoring wins and podiums, has raised the stakes. Ducati can feel the pressure, yet Tardozzi's words project loyalty and stability at a time when both the rider and brand need composure. Despite the slump, Ducati's leadership refuses to panic. The focus now turns to Malaysia, where Bagnaia has historically been strong. "We'll try something new for Sepang. I always trust our people, and Pecco will find his feeling again." With 3 rounds left in the 2025 season, Ducati's mission is clear: rebuild Bagnaia's confidence and silenced the whispers of decline. Phillip Island was another low point in a turbulent season for the defending champion, but inside Ducati's garage, the tone is one of unity, not conflict. As Davide Tardozzi reminded everyone, "There's no rift with Pecco, only hard work and faith." Now, the Red Army heads to Sepang with one goal: to bring their champion back to the front where he belongs. Checker flag. Aprilia's stunning 1-2 in Australia did more than shake up the championship. It revealed just how vulnerable Ducati has become without Marquez on track. The factory's dominance looked untouchable just months ago, but with Marquez sidelined and Bagnaia struggling, cracks have begun to show. Ducati's rivals sense an opportunity. Aprilia and KTM are closing the gap in both speed and consistency, while Ducati's lead rider appears lost for answers. Pecco Bagnaia's post-summer collapse has turned into a full-blown crisis. Since his double win at MotoGP, the two-time champion has spiraled into confusion and self-doubt. At Phillip Island, his words said it all. "What happened since Austria? I don't know how to answer. I prefer to turn the page." In Saturday's sprint, Bagnaia finished more than 30 seconds behind the winner, averaging 2.5 seconds slower per lap, a stunning drop-off for a reigning world champion. Observers likened his GP25's instability to a shopping cart on three wheels, as he wrestled a bike that suddenly refused to obey. The situation is baffling for Ducati engineers, given the same GP25 that dominated Japan has become almost unrideable just weeks later. Adding to Ducati's confusion, Fabio Di Giannantonio, riding a similar GP25 spec with VR46, managed to finish second, even while suffering from a fever. "The bike moves a lot at Phillip Island, yes, but I was still fast. We worked with what we had." Di Giannantonio's statement. His result underlined a painful truth for Ducati's factory box. The problem may not lie solely in the machinery. As Di Giannantonio thrives and Bagnaia falters, questions are now being asked about setup choices, riding style compatibility, and even mental confidence within the factory camp. Against this backdrop, Marc Márquez's influence inside Ducati has never been stronger. His absence in Australia didn't weaken his position, it reinforced it. Without him, Ducati's results and aura fell apart. The message is clear: Marquez isn't just another top rider. He's the anchor holding Ducati's empire together. All factory contracts expire at the end of 2026, setting the stage for a historic 2027 rider market. Marquez, now recovered and back to his peak, holds the power to dictate terms, or walk. Even Ducati's strict post-pandemic salary cap may crumble under pressure. If they want to keep their reference rider, they'll need to break tradition and spend big. Perhaps the most revealing moment of the weekend came straight from Bagnaia himself. "If Marc were here, he'd probably be on the podium. I can't stop the bike from moving." That single sentence summed up Ducati's current imbalance, and Marquez's unmatched value. While the Italian wrestles with a mysterious handling issue, Marquez's ability to adapt and win has made him the centerpiece of Ducati's future planning. Inside Bologna, that reality is now impossible to ignore. The team once built around Bagnaia's calm precision may soon pivot fully toward Marquez's aggressive mastery. Aprilia's surge, Bagnaia's collapse, and Marquez's commanding aura have rewritten Ducati's internal power map. For years, the Bologna factory prided itself on engineering superiority, but now, it's personality and leadership that matter most. As one paddock insider put it, "Without Marquez, Ducati looks lost. With him, they look unbeatable." And so, as negotiations for 2027 loom, the Red Kingdom knows the truth. Keeping Marc Márquez is no longer an option. It's a necessity. Checker flag. The Phillip Island weekend was another nightmare. Bagnaia's crash on Sunday followed a sprint where both factory Ducatis languished in the lower half of the field, a shocking sight for a team once untouchable. It was better than yesterday. The bike was more stable but less agile. I could push more, catch some riders, but I lost time at the start trying to adapt. Despite marginal progress, the Italian's race ended with a fall as he overpushed in pursuit of the top 10. When you're really at the limit, maybe too much, it's easy to crash. I didn't want to finish last again. I'd rather crash fighting for a few points than roll around at the back. For a two-time world champion, the statement itself is alarming. Bagnaia now measures success in top 10 finishes. Bagnaia's frustration boils over when reflecting on his post-MotoGP decline. The bike that carried him to a commanding double win in Japan now feels like an unrecognizable machine. It will depend on my feelings. Today I could have fought for a top 10, which isn't something I'm happy about, but it's a starting point. We must find something that makes me feel comfortable again, like in Japan. That was my Ducati. The one I'm riding this year isn't, and we need to understand why. It's a chilling admission, a rider suggesting that his factory machine no longer behaves like his own. Inside Ducati, engineers are desperately searching for answers to what's causing the GP25's erratic behavior. The Italian admits the mystery deepened after the Misano test, where he believed the setup issues were solved. We thought we'd squared the circle after Misano. In MotoGP, everything went smoothly. What happened afterward is unacceptable, almost indescribable. In Indonesia, I started on the same bike I just won with, and I couldn't ride it. The same thing happened here. His confusion is palpable and public. Ducati's greatest weapon, its technical precision, has suddenly turned into a source of uncertainty. What changed between Japan and Indonesia remains unexplained, and even the champion sounds powerless to identify the cause. During warm-up, TV cameras captured Bagnaia's Ducati violently shaking down the Phillip Island straight. When asked, the Italian refused to elaborate. "It's better not to talk about it, sorry." The tone says it all: frustration, disbelief, and perhaps a trace of fear of what such comments might imply inside the Ducati hierarchy. Behind closed doors, questions about mechanical inconsistencies or setup parity are now impossible to ignore. Bagnaia ends his Australian weekend with no points, no explanations, and an honesty rarely seen from the normally composed Italian. Bagnaia, quote, "I know it's a difficult year, something isn't right, and it's not easy to understand. I can only go out and give 100%. The contrast between the confident champion of 2023 and the uncertain rider of late 2025 could not be sharper." His tone has shifted from analytical to emotional, the hallmark of a man at war with his machine. Francesco Bagnaia's words may have been measured, but their impact is explosive. Beneath the polite phrasing lies a clear message: he no longer trusts the bike beneath him. As Ducati faces internal pressure and Aprilia rises, the once calm Italian looks increasingly isolated in a storm he cannot explain. And for now, the champion's silence on the straight at Phillip Island echoes louder than any crash. "It's better not to talk about it." Checker flag.